Hey, Irish fans. Welcome to the season premiere of Dome and Domer. I'm Mike Sullivan. Joining me is Mike Brammer. We're both members of the class of 1990, and we've been doing Dome and Domer since 2006. This is the oldest Notre Dame sports podcast, and we're here at the start of our 20th season, and we're excited to bring you all kinds of coverage of the Irish throughout the year. Bram, can you believe this has been going on for 20 years?
Amazing. Would have never thought it when we started this, but here we are 20 years later, and at least the excitement's up. So it hasn't been all for waste as of
There's
yet.
a ton of excitement. So 2006 was the year that my brother and I decided, what the heck, let's start a Notre Dame football podcast. And, we didn't have any idea what we were doing. But it was after the Michigan State game in 2006 with the great Brady Quinn comeback and in the rain in East Lansing. And we were all hyped up. I had my niece as our production coordinator. She was 17 years old, and she was way more skilled than my brother and I were in terms of the technology. And very quickly, we realized we need somebody who knows what the heck they're doing. So we said, hey, let's get Brammer. Doesn't know anything about football, but the guy's good with a laptop. And so we pulled you in. We added Mike Coffey a year or two into it. I stepped away for 15 years while I worked at Our Ladies University, and you kept it going with Eddie Jordanek. And you'll see Coffey and you'll see Jordanek throughout the season. But really, Bram, you've been the constant in Dome and Domer since 2006. So back then, when we started, we were preseason number 2 in the country. And today, the AP came out with their preseason poll, and the Irish check in at 4th, 5th in the coaches poll. So there hasn't been as much hype and excitement around a season in a very long time. And although that season in 2006, fell short of a national championship, BCS Sugar Bowl game, this year I expect the Irish will deliver on all the expectations. So let's check in on this. And just looking at the state of the program, give me some initial thoughts, Bram, on how you see the health of the football program.
Well, I think it's just it's been amazing what they've done just recently, and I think specifically with the facilities and some of the viral videos that have gone out. If people have not had a chance to watch that, you should. It's really interesting, the upgrades that have been made, and it's high level stuff. I mean, it is really impressive what they've done. But not only just that, but I think Notre Dame's ability to navigate the NIL. I've always thought that was going to be a tough thing when that first came out. I wasn't so confident, but yet we've just really seemed to nail that. So totally a lot of excitement. There's definitely that. But along with that, there's been a lot of things that have, happened just in the off season. We just make really good progress. I assume that you got to have at least a couple things, Sully, that you've seen in the off season that gets you excited as well.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, talking about the state of the program, I think we are better positioned to win a national championship now than at any point since Lou Holtz left, right? The peak of the Holtz era, that's how I feel things are today. You touched upon facilities, NIL. I never had any doubt that we were going to do very well in this NIL world, having spent 15 years in university relations and with the development team. I know how supportive the Notre Dame family is, and there's a lot of resources available, and the power of the Notre Dame football brand to attract, like the SoFi deal, right? I mean, this is a powerful, powerful brand. And so the NIL environment is simply allowing us to do what, let's be frank, what the Ohio States and the SEC teams have been doing, which is to buy a roster. And now that we're able to do that as part of the system, it's not surprising we're having the success we are. So the investment by the university, the support of, corporate entities and the Notre Dame fan and donor base, we are super well positioned. But the most important part of all that, we got the right guy, right? Let's be honest. If Brian Kelly was the head coach in this environment, I think we'd still be good, not great. Marcus Freeman is the right guy. So for me, I think the state of the program is incredibly strong, and that's why I'm buying all the hype, and I think we are going to deliver. without question. But, in terms of the biggest offseason storylines for this team, right? So that's the program. But let's talk about this team. What do you think are the key storylines that determine the success of the 2026 Irish?
Well, I think it all started with 24 hours. In fact, I can't even remember, so you'll have to jog my memory. But I want to say that Freeman first brought up the term "leave no doubt" like within 24 hours of not making the playoffs. I think it was like the very next day, and they seem to have gravitated to that. That's like a rallying cry within the program right now, and I think it's absolutely perfect because, I mean, let's face it, we all had a pretty bad taste in our mouth, not only the team, but I mean, just us as fans. We were so excited with where the football team was, having watched them recover from those two losses. And I just really felt like we were in a much better position to win the whole damn thing last year than we were 2 years ago at the start of the 2024 playoffs. So for us to get left out like that, I mean, it just was a punch in the gut. And I think they've Freeman has done an amazing job with being able to grasp that and make it a rallying cry for this team. And I just think that's going to play well for us the whole season because it's something that they can gravitate to and can be, a big motivator moving forward.
I'm with you. I think that is the story of the offseason is how, I think if you want to be fair, a critique of the Freeman teams have been early season stumbles, right?
Yeah,
and so
sure.
the ability to missing the playoffs, gave us several more weeks of offseason conditioning and time to, develop guys and so forth. Also gave us, right, that rallying cry, leave no doubt. And you're right. He immediately said, hey, we have nobody to blame but ourselves. I mean, you and I know that's not true. But in terms of what he's saying to the team, we left doubt on the field. And so we can't do that anymore. I love it. That's going to be so powerful as this team, the entire offseason, the spring, summer camp, and now into fall camp, that is what they're hanging on to. And that is going to be a reoccurring theme. And it will be on Dome and Domer as well, because we're going to talk going into each week's game. We're going to talk about what do the Irish need to do at whatever position or on offense, defense, special teams to leave no doubt. So we're going to take a page off from Coach Freeman here and make that part of our theme for the year. So I would say for sure that's the biggest storyline is how do you use that pain to propel you forward? And anything else jumps to the top of the list there for you, Bram, besides that?
I mean, I think that hits it on the nail, but I'm curious. So what do you think in terms of the position groups that you're most excited about? If you had to pick one on offense, what would it be for you moving forward?
Oh, that's a great question. So I'm going to start on offense. I guess I'm most excited about what the running backs will do in the post-Love Price era, right? I mean, 2 first-round picks, come on, that's generational talent, those guys, right? And most of the time, you don't have running backs like that. Most of the time, and it was true through most of the Holtz era, it was running back by committee. That doesn't mean you're not super talented, but I think we're going to have, certainly 4 guys in the mix to start the year. And depending on how the freshman, is it Osborne, maybe develops coming back from an injury, we might have 5 guys. And I'm really excited to see how well they perform. And led by Aeneas Williams, right? You got to love Aeneas Williams.
Yeah, that's exactly who I was going to name. So we're coming from the same page here. Just back to Aeneas Williams. Don't forget that in 2024, when he was a freshman, he played a pivotal role in that game against Penn State. And on third down, he's a guy that literally was trusted in the backfield as a freshman. And that's you don't usually find that a lot. I mean, that's something. Now, he was banged up last year and really wasn't ever at 100%. I don't think the whole year he ever felt like he was 100%. So you got Aeneas Williams back. You've got Kedrick Young, who one of the interviews that I saw after the season was an interview with Jeremiah Love. And they asked him, hey, who do you think in the running back room is somebody we should keep an eye on? And he didn't hesitate. He smiled and said, Keeter Young is a guy you're going to need to watch. So, I mean, just the mere fact that he said that tells me that, all right, he must be pretty good.
Yeah, and he gives us, I think he's a nice compliment to like the smaller guys and the smaller, quicker guys and Nolan James and Aeneas Williams. And don't get me wrong, I think Williams is physical, but he's not as big of a guy. And Young is a little bit of that bigger back. So yeah, I'm with you. Aeneas Williams played a pivotal role in the playoff run in 2024. He's a great option out of the backfield. He picks up and pass protects, picks up blitzes and pass protects very well. And he does have the ability to take it to the house. And we've seen that from him, a lot of big runs. So we're going to be just fine at running back. I'm excited to see how that all plays out. What about you? What position group, Bram, has got you excited?
Well, no, I mean, it's the running backs, but if it's, I'm with you there. I'm in agreement there. But I think on the other side of the ball, I'm going to go with the defensive line. I really think that we got some depth there, and just the guys that we brought in as well with the guy from Oregon and Brew. What's the guy's name from Pittsburgh that we brought?
Brew.
I mean, those two additions, both of them, and we already had a strong. You got Traore and Bryce Young, and then you've got the fifth-year guy that we convinced to come back. I forget his name as well as we're talking, but I think we're going to be deep on the defensive line. I think we may surprise people with how well we play there.
We'll come back. We'll talk about depth overall here momentarily, but I agree with you. Defensive line is going to be a strength of the team. I mean, everybody, I think, would point to our linebacker group as the heartbeat of the defense. I mean, we're loaded at linebacker, and there's so many position groups you look at and say, yep, lots of veteran guys coming back, lots of established, proven guys coming back. To me, if there's any group where I have concern is too strong of a word, but let's face it, none of our hype and predictions are going to come to fruition if the offensive line doesn't dominate. And to me, that's the group that absolutely has to make all these other things happen. That's football. It's got to start up front. And the only thing that gives me a moment of doubt, maybe, is will we stay healthy in the offensive line? Because we know we already have Jagisaw is already not available to start the year. The expectation is he'll come back at some point. And then Matty Augustine got a foot injury requiring surgery, and he won't be back till October. So at that point, we have a lot of talented guys, but you're already two guys kind of, not available. Yeah. And if we could stay healthy in the offensive line, I think all good things are possible.
Yeah, it's definitely something to think about. That's a little bit of a worry. I mean, these not only we've got a lot of talent there, but there's guys that are playing out of position too, that are in new positions, so everybody had to bump around as a result of these injuries. And so I think you are going to see some of that with the offensive line. It's probable that it could take them a game or two to get gelled and get together on the same page. And so that is one of the things that worries me a little bit moving into the season is it going to take us a little while to get on the same page with the offensive line and them gelling as a group, which then will open up the running game with the guys that we have behind them. So that could happen. I mean, that's something that oftentimes does happen with offensive linemen. It takes them a little while to be a cohesive unit and get on the same page. So that is a little bit of a concern.
Yes, that could happen. Wouldn't surprise me if it did. However, here's the good news. We know that the schedule is not, listen, Wisconsin is going to present a challenge. But early in the season, we should be okay with an evolving offensive line and maybe trying to find our offensive identity a little bit. We still should be okay because you always are going to be in great shape when you've got such a talented defensive unit. We're going to be damn good on defense, and that will buy some time, even if there are a few uneven patches maybe with the offensive line. Okay. So Yeah, a little bit of a concern, not overly concerned because we're going to be so good everywhere else, which leads me to this question then. We mentioned Aeneas Williams, but give me one guy that you're super excited for what he's going to do this season. This should be the easiest question of the year that I'm going to ask you.
Well, look, I do think that it's only natural to point at the quarterback, and CJ Carr is something that we just have not had that kind of level of a guy in a long time. I know you could argue that you're a big fan of Ian Book. I am too. But Ian Book is somewhat limited physically just by how tall he is and what I think he overcame that a lot. But I think for the first time, we've got a guy at quarterback who can literally take over the game and put it on his shoulders. Now, he didn't have to do that last year because of what we had in the backfield. I think he's going to be called to do a lot more this year. You're going to see him air it out a little bit more. Maybe the leash is a little bit longer for him this year. It'll be interesting to see.
I don't know. I mean, if you're talking about week one leash, sure. But the CJ Carr that I watched all of last year, one of the top quarterbacks in the country, was dynamite throwing the ball down the field. Like our vertical passing game last year was crazy good. And, what everybody says is CJ Carr at the line of scrimmage is absolutely a chess master and getting us out of bad plays into good plays, changing the protection, whatever is asked of him. He was doing that last year and is going to continue to do that at a higher level is the expectation. So that's why I am certainly most excited to see what he does. And I don't know if this is the first time we've had a quarterback we could put the game on this guy's shoulders. Again, I don't know. I would say that, but it's great.
At a particular moment, what I'm saying is that to be able to come for him to deliver at a very high level and change the game, I think he's got that. And yeah, I don't know that we've. Yeah, I just think that he is something that we've not had in a while, and it shows.
Let me jump in on that. Here's what we haven't had in a while: a returning starter at quarterback, and that's like you look at Ian Book in 2019 and 2020. Ian Book was doing all those things and was a dominant guy on the field for sure. And now for the first time since then, we have a returning starter at quarterback. What a great luxury for Mike Denbrock and Marcus Freeman and the entire offense to know that you've got a guy that's already gone out there and done that through 12 games at really an elite level. And so that is something we haven't had in a while. And it's going to be fabulous to watch. It's going to be fabulous.
Yeah.
So to me, like the question is Mike Denbrock, like he's going to have so many weapons at his disposal. Which one do you emphasize? And I think that's where having a guy like CJ Carr, who will take what the defense has given you and is understanding what Denbrock wants him to do. They're describing him like a coach on the field already. So that's super exciting. So aside from the quarterback position then, and Aeneas Williams, sticking on offense, give me another name that you expect to be a dominant kind of guy for us.
Well, I think from right from the get-go, you got to point to Jordan Faison as being a guy that's going to deliver for us. I mean, he's 100% healthy from what they're saying. He was banged up a little bit last year, and his ability to just separate and get open that's something that is a huge luxury for a guy like Carr that can pick up on that and see the matchup and just know that Faison's going to be the kind of guy that will get open. And that's hard to do in college football. I mean, it's all about separation, right? So Faison just seems to have that ability, whether it's his background as a lacrosse player. He just has a unique ability to get open and make plays happen. So I expect him to deliver some bigger numbers this year and be a dominant force for us in the wide receiver core.
Yeah, and so you're talking about getting open, right, before he catches the ball. Here's what I love about him, his yards after catch, his ability to make guys miss after he's caught the ball. And this is where, he has just such a wiggle about him that a 8-yard completion is easily turned into double that or more. Or the ability to make a guy miss and get 3 more yards and keep the chains moving, right? And those things are really, really important, obviously, particularly as you get into the playoffs and tougher games. But Faison has that ability, as does Greathouse. And everybody says Greathouse is looking good, is healthy, he was never healthy last year. And Greathouse has that same kind of ability, right? So the wide receivers, again, I'm excited to see them. I think it is a position group that, aside from Greathouse and Faison, you are now looking for, okay, who are the guys at boundary receiver that can step up and make a difference, right? And, that's a heated competition. I think there's a lot of depth that we'll have the ability to take advantage of, particularly when you think about the 2 Ohio State guys who came in. We'll get to transfer impacts here momentarily. Okay, well, the depth is what we've been talking about. And the depth on this team, I can't remember a Notre Dame team that was so complete and so deep. And one of the reasons that we have this depth, of course, has been the great recruiting, Freeman's authenticity, his work ethic, and the staff and going out and identifying guys, our ability to bring NIL to bear, right? All that stuff is really, really important. And so we've recruited well. But the NCAA has made a change to eligibility this year, Bram. And so now, as you know, every player has 5 years to complete 5 seasons, to play 5 seasons. 5 for 5, they call it. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's going to have a big impact because there's so much, strategy that went into that, guys that you're trying to build up, guys that you don't want to waste. You're allowing, I think it was 4 games is what you could play prior to this rule change before you gave up an eligibility year once you went past that. So, the 5 for 5, I think, is going to allow guys to play earlier and maybe take a shot on somebody that normally you wouldn't. One guy I think about is at the tight end position, Ian Primer, who, he's a 5-star kid that we signed. And just physically looking at him, he looks like he's not a freshman. So that'll be interesting to see if he makes an impact. But yeah, I think the 5 for 5 is going to open it up and create even more depth and more competition, knowing that you don't have to hold back anymore. That should be good for us.
Absolutely. And I think you see that play out on things that maybe are, Bremer you expect is going to compete. The running backs are going to compete for time right away, right? But I think where you really see the impact could be special teams, right? The competition through all the way down the roster for positions on special teams, that just makes everybody better, right? And so you're going to have a lot of talented guys who will have an opportunity to do their thing. And maybe a year ago, you wouldn't have played him there because you didn't want to burn eligibility, right? So that's creating additional depth. And then we went out and had a really successful transfer portal season, adding depth. You talked about it in the defensive line, adding depth at wide receiver, right? How about 2 former 5-star recruits that were, sitting on the Ohio State roster that now are playing for the Irish? Tremendous shot in the arm for the wide receiver competition. Keon Keeley, I'm not sure we've even brought him up yet. So Keon Keeley, former 5-star guy that decommitted to Notre Dame, went to Alabama. Now he's back in the fold. So just the ability to go out and selectively find guys in the transfer portal. We're not building our roster in the transfer portal, but you're building depth.
Yeah, it's shown up year after year with Freeman. He's been able to do that. Last year was interesting because it was a little bit late to the game. He always seemed like he was early. He was getting guys like right from the get-go. We were a little bit late last year, but boy, just huge impact players. I think ultimately the Irish were ranked as like the 5th best transfer portal. So that just goes to show that adding that kind of depth in the transfer portal is we didn't even mention DJ McKinney, the guy that's now going to play opposite of
Leonard Moore.
So I mean, just that alone and the competition that creates.
No question about it. It's the secondary again loaded was in really good shape without 2 transfer portal additions, but now you could potentially have your starting field corner and slot corner. I mean, Christian Gray is in a battle, right? And we know Christian Gray has been a guy that's made a lot of big plays in his career at Notre Dame, and he's in a battle for the starting slot corner position because we go out and get established guys in the transfer portal. So that's been a great thing. All those things add up. The 5 for 5 with freshmen, the transfer impacts that we've had, tremendous depth on this team. Okay, now talked about the program. We've talked about guys, positions, players. All right,
why don't you let's do a prediction.
Let's get to it. Let's do it. Okay.
Where do you see this? I mean, I'm going to let you go first because I've already got mine. But I mean, what do you think is going to happen? This is your gut instinct of all right. This is what's going to happen.
Freaking Brammer, 12 and 0. Listen, we are. I just do not see a game on the schedule that makes me go, There's going to be some tough games. There's going to be teams on the schedule that are better than we think they're going to be. No question about it.
Yeah, that always happens.
There's the marquee games. We're going to get into this Thursday and talk about sort of game by game, opponent by opponent. We're going to get Jordanik on here and hear what he has to say. But I'm telling you, I really feel like, let me just say it like this. I will be a little let down at 11-1.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. I don't, obviously Miami's the one game you point to, but that game's at home and it's in November. So I just don't see them coming up here and beating us, especially if we've run the table up to that point. I can't, that game is going to be so hyped. I just don't see us leaving any doubt with Miami. It just, to me, that just doesn't seem possible.
I like how you worked that in there. That was good. You're good.
Well, but now there are some challenges. I mean, I don't think we should just sit here and say we've got rollovers everywhere. I do think Wisconsin's going to be a challenge for us. I think that's.
Well, let me ask the question a little differently. For you, I know mathematically best case scenario. I'm asking you, what do you think is the ceiling and what's the floor? Give me a one-loss record that's the ceiling and the floor.
Yeah, I think at 12-0 is obviously the ceiling. I do think 11-1 is the floor. I really do. I just think we're too good. We're too talented. As long as we don't have a freak accident with CJ Carr going down early or something like that, I just can't see anybody beating us on the schedule outside of Miami.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you to commit. I've committed. I've taken a stand. This is the 20th anniversary season for Dome and Domer, Bram. It's time to be bold. Give me your number.
I'm going 12-0. I think this is it. This is the year we're going to light it up. And
12-0.
We're not going to leave any doubt at all. That's for sure.
Now let's talk. We spent some time talking about CJ Carr, but you brought up like, okay, what's the backup situation look like? And that's an open battle. We don't know who the number 2 is going to be, and it may not be the same number 2 throughout the year. But, I have Notre Dame conversations with people all the time, of course, and everybody brings that up. Oh, my God, what about, the number 2? Hey, I don't know. What's Ohio State saying about their number 2 or Oregon or anybody? Like, who goes into the season? Rarely do you absolutely know. There's no concerns if we lose our number 1 quarterback. Everybody's in that boat. But we recruit really well. We've got capable, talented guys. And we've got a great program and a great system. And God forbid somebody else has to step in. I have confidence that it's going to be okay.
I would agree.
How's that for optimism?
There you go.
Okay.
I think, well, it's always next man up, right? I don't think there's anybody on it. Obviously, losing a guy like Leonard Moore would be a huge blow, but we have guys that can fill in. I mean, we have depth everywhere.
No, I agree with you. Like, who in the country wouldn't be concerned about losing their best player? Everybody is, right? And so that you got to get a little lucky, and depth has to be an asset for you if you're going to make a run in this playoff format. It's a long-ass season, and you have to have depth. Guys will go down, and you got to believe in the process and the roster, and I do. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up there. We'll be back on Thursday. We'll have our good friend and Dillon Hall buddy Eddie Jordanik will join us. On Thursdays, we're going to have rotating guest domers, and we're excited to have Eddie kick that off for us. And we're going to talk about the schedule and college football more broadly and how the 12-team playoff might look. And so we'll do that on Thursday. You've been listening to Dome and Domer in its 20th anniversary season, the oldest Notre Dame sports podcast. For Mike Brammer, I'm Mike Sullivan. We'll see you next time.